Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the show for leaders who want real results, not more noise. Join Emmanuel Rose as he helps business builders turn AI from a confusing add-on into a practical advantage with clearer messaging, stronger trust, and smarter systems. If you felt the shift happening in real time, you're not imagining it. In the agentic pivot, Emmanuel calls it the move from experimenting with AI to building with it, so it supports your team, your brand, and your growth. Let's get into it.
I'm Emmanuel Rose. This is Marketing in the Age of AI. My guest is John Ohlwiler, founder and CEO of Century Technology Solutions. Since founding Century in 2014, John has scaled the firm into a national IT provider, ranked on the Inc. 5000 and number 40 among IT providers, serving clients across 28 states. A Forbes Technology Council member, he's building custom AI assistants for technicians, automating operations, and guiding franchise clients with a proprietary technology maturity model. We'll cut past the hype and focus on how organizations can programmatically adopt AI, manage risk, and measure real business impact. John, thanks so much for spending some time with me today.
Hey, Emmanuel, thanks for having me.
You betcha. Well, it's been quite a ride for the last 4 or 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been some of the most exciting years, I could say, especially the last 2 to 3 have been very exciting. Yeah.
Well, let's see. What are you seeing in your client deployments right now that's interesting for us?
And I think just how technology and AI can be integrated to almost every aspect of business and also in every industry of business. I mean, we're working everything from we got a project going right now with a power company to, some marketing stuff to, um, manufacturer warehouse automations. There's just so much going on in the world of AI automation that it's hard to keep up, honestly, but it's just a lot of fun. There's so many big business changes that are happening, and I think for a lot of my clients too, because we work in the middle market more than we do larger enterprises.
Yep.
I think it's really helping them revolutionize their business and realizing how they can compete with larger entities that are, way above their class right now.
Isn't that the truth? The leapfrogging is unbelievable what you can do now with a team of 10 versus a team of 500.
Yeah. Actually, so I'll comment on that. There's been some studies and stuff I've seen. I don't have any that I could actually give you the details to quote, but there's been 2 or 3 studies in this area, and the shops that are changing the most are the 10 and 15 and under, and then the really large enterprise, right? The
Yeah.
middle area, there's a lot of soupiness there on things not getting adopted and not getting adopted quickly. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. But yeah, if you're a smaller solopreneur to a small department, like small company of say 10 people, you really can take advantage of some really cool things, and making changes is easy. Where, the larger you get, you want to make a change and replicate that across your entire company. It gets harder and harder with the number of employees and regions and areas that you service. So I think you actually have a ability to win the race to some extent on the technology side.
Yeah, no, I have seen that too. And I think some of it is the dispersed teams, and some of it is just the flat out the change management, and humans all don't want to participate in this evolution that we're in.
Yeah, the change management's a big part. That's so you mentioned in the intro our technology maturity model. The fourth step, or sorry, the third step of that technology maturity model, we call that business integrations. And a lot of people think of that as IT system integrations, which that's part of it. But the biggest part of it to know if you're getting to be more mature of a company is you're starting to understand how data flows across your company. You're starting to
Yep.
understand how your SOPs are, your different KPIs, the KPIs per individuals or OKRs if you're into that world.
Yeah.
But basically, how the numbers move with your company and how that really moves your company. And once you kind of understand that and you start having those cross departmental conversations and bringing different stakeholders into solving different problems, that's how you know you've reached a certain level of maturity. And once you get to that point, that's where you can start to really take advantage of going to the next level of innovations. Too many companies, I think, they start to enter some type of AI project and they just don't have their underlying pieces together. They don't have their data in one spot. They don't have central ways of making decisions. And yeah, change management just becomes a huge nightmare at that point. And
Yeah,
I think
there's too many steps.
the middle market back.
It's hard to loop it back in once you skip all those steps.
Right.
Well, break down the technology maturity model. I'd like to hear how many steps are there, and outline them all for me.
So there's really four key areas that we focus on.
Okay.
The first is operational IT, which operational IT is exactly what it sounds. It's the IT that my business is operating on. Who do you call when the printer doesn't work? And, what's your email system?
Yeah.
And just some of the basic stuff like that. Can I get to internet? Can I not get to internet? Let's face it though, if you're investing a lot in different AI platforms and you're constantly losing internet connection and you can't get to those AI platforms, your investments are kind of your ROI is harder to get, right?
It's
So
frozen. Yeah.
that's the first step.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we call that kind of structuring your base, and then the next step is security and compliancy. And I don't think we don't have to dig too deep into security and compliancy, but everybody understands there's a lot of bad actors out there. There's a lot of ways that hackers and just problems can happen in the security and compliancy arena. And we do focus a lot on security and compliancy. Back when we were originally founded in 2014, um, that's really where we started, was operational IT and security and compliancy, when we first started doing consulting and stuff. It wasn't until later on that we got into what we call the business integrations and the business innovation. So the next level, after security and compliancy, we talked a little bit about, but that business integrations layer. And that's a huge part where a lot of companies get hung up. And that's where, like, if you have micromanagers or certain problems like that, you're never going to make it past this point.
Yep.
And you could give me a bunch of money to do some really, really cool projects. But if we can't get everybody on the same page and we can't get your systems kind of integrated correctly and we can't get your data organized and things cross connected through different means, you're never going to do well with your innovation layer of trying to introduce AI, automation, custom development, anything like that. It's going to fall apart. And there's two studies at the end of last year. I think it was November. MIT came out with a study that said 90% of all AI implementations fail.
Yep.
And then a month or two before that, Microsoft had a study that said all AI proof of concepts, or no, it wasn't all AI proof of AI proof of concepts, like something like 87% don't make it for proof of concept to production.
Right.
So you've got two really strong studies from two, really large research entities to some extent that are both supporting that. And I think that's kind of where a lot of that problem is in that integration layer where those things are not integrated. People are not integrated with each other. The SOPs are all over the place. KPIs are off. People don't know their KPIs. You walk into a room and there's 10 people there doing a job and all 10 of them are doing it differently.
Yeah. Right.
So, and it's funny because there's some larger entities I've worked with several hundred employees, 500 employees, that you walk into and they are just completely disorganized. You think, how did you ever make it to this point? You could be so much better if you just took a step back and organized yourselves better and the way that you handle your work and everything. And yeah.
So after business integrations, what's the next layer?
The business innovation area. And that's where we, get into what we're talking about now. AI, automation, agentic AI. Back before that though, it was more kind of software development, stuff like that. Two key use cases I give about the technology maturity model. One is Domino's. So if you've ever ordered a pizza from Domino's in the last few years, they own some patents on their entire ordering process and their software that they use. And when you order that pizza, it tells you, like, John put it in the oven and Sarah took it out of the oven, and so-and-so picked it up and boxed it up and they're delivering it, and so on. Right. And it gives you an alert when the pizza's about 2 minutes away from your house. so on. So what did that do for them? I clearly remember growing up in Atlanta after a ball game on like a Thursday night. Me and my brothers are hungry. My dad's lazy. And I shouldn't say lazy, but my dad didn't want to do much else. So we ordered pizza, right?
Sure.
And, you know, it'd go 45 minutes, an hour go by. Your pizza wouldn't get there. You call them back. And the next thing you know, two pizzas show up. One of them's cold. A few minutes later, a third one shows up and they want you to pay for it twice. Like,
Right.
this
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago, if you think about it. And now, because of the system and the way that they do it, they're predicting like how their different food's going to be used, and it's helping orders and logistics. It's helping HR because now you can star rate each person on that step. So if my pizza
Oh,
was
yeah.
made wrong, I know who made it, and I can give them
Yep.
a lower rating, right? And so now they can compare people within the same position across stores, across the same store, across different regions. So from an HR perspective, it's helped out a lot of things. Food waste has gone way, way, way down because now every pizza's tracked from the time it's ordered all the way through the cooking process,
Like a
from the time it
factory.
leaves to
Yeah.
the time it shows up at your house. Yeah, like a factory, right? And so Domino's is a great example of someone who's gone through the entire kind of technology maturity over time to now they have this crazy, I shouldn't say crazy, but this system that they own several patents on the way that they order and deliver pizzas now. And it's all software driven. And it's not even really AI for the most part. I'm sure they're building
Right.
AI into it now. Um, but it's just, you can see how they had to get everybody on the same page, had to figure out what was important, the different stakeholders involved. Obviously, there's security and compliance because they're dealing with credit cards and people's information and, their internal employee information. Obviously, from the base level of operational IT, if a store is not connected back up to their main servers and to their cloud, guess what? They can't do that. That's a big problem. Um, Also within the stores, that employees are using different types of devices and things as they're doing their job, or they wouldn't get all this information recorded. So that's kind of a whole level of technology maturity. And then when you start to measure things, like a lot of people that are focused on operational IT, it's more about like hard dollar savings or budgeting, stuff like that. When you start getting into the innovation layer, the metrics that you shoot for a lot of times are more like customer experience, employee experience, things like
Mhm.
that. And another example I give besides Domino's is taking a picture of a check and depositing it on your phone. Now pretty much every single little credit union, community bank in America has that technology, but
Right.
15, 20 years ago it didn't. And so you look at, how did somebody decide how they're going to invest in that IT project? How did somebody decide like how much money, what their ROIs were going to be? It was way more about customer satisfaction than it was like, I can save $50 by changing internet plans, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Some of those things
so
are
that's
the SOPs of the people that are doing business with you, right? And making it simpler for them rather than
yeah,
just an ROI that's hard dollars.
right. So that's a technology maturity model in a nutshell. And nowadays, 90% of the conversations in the innovation area are all about AI of some
Sure.
form or fashion.
Yeah, and we're seeing that in the marketing arena for sure with the maturity of the AI agents and the ability for the top of the funnel to be agentified and actually get pretty amazing results at this point, almost as good as humans.
Yeah. I can tell you a lot of our marketing is very AI driven. We have some different workflows and automations that, do some research and fire off some things. And we're using Claude for a lot of drafting of different blog posts and things like that to help us kind of make sure we're hitting key points and not missing things. And it's been very powerful for us, for sure, in the marketing area.
Yeah. Now, do you? I kind of have this pet theory about we're headed to a post software era in the idea that the agents will be able to be on our phone and we'll be able to talk to them and they'll be able to execute a lot of what we need to do throughout the day. What do you think of this idea?
Um, I don't know about post software. I think there will be a spot for a lot of software to live. I think a lot of it will be more background software, such as like sets of databases and things like that. If you think about the way the web is now and just systems like HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever, it's a web interface that has a large data set in the background. And
Yep.
that data set's still going to have to be live somewhere and be controlled somewhere, because your AI agent is only as powerful as the data you can give it, that, the information you can feed it and the context you can give it through prompting. So really you're feeding it context, on what you want and how you want things out of it through those two key ways. And obviously the more context you can give it, the more information it can data mine, uh, the better results you're going to get. So I don't know if it'll be fully dead. I do think some SaaS apps that are weaker or ones that are a lot harder to use will start to go away. I
Yep.
think we'll start to see a lot more open ecosystems where the ecosystems cross connect between different ones easier. And you're already seeing that with AI and MCP servers and even
Yeah.
things like N8N,
Yep.
working. So
Well, yeah, and just the proliferation
yeah.
finally of the APIs. So we have access to these disparate sources that are ours, but used to not be able to talk to each other.
Yeah, those are the software companies that are gonna go away. The ones that don't open up their APIs, that don't give you ways to get data in and out, through different means other than their web portal or through their visual interface. Those companies will go away for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Well, so what are some of the challenges that you're seeing with the clients that you're having in terms of moving through this data maturity, IT maturity?
It really depends on the client. Some clients we worked with them for years. They're in the operational IT bucket, and they'll probably never grow out of it. And it's
Uh-huh.
just kind of the way they manage their business. It's who they are. They're happy being a 10 employee, doctor's office, and doesn't really want to innovate, right? We have some companies on the other end of the spectrum where they may have internal IT or some IT departments, and all we're doing is consulting on the innovation side, right? And then we have some in between that we're doing everything for, or that we're doing certain parts for. Um, so what I see more so is probably training of adoption. There's a lot of people that'll push out some tools and they don't really give a good training or way for their employees to be trained on it. And I think
Mhm.
every company needs to have some level of training to get all their employees what I'm going to call AI literate, where they
Yeah.
can do basic things. Like I'm not expecting every employee to go in and write, large agentic flows and things like that, but every employee should be able to use some basic chatbots, be comfortable with those chatbots, understand how to prompt properly, stuff like that. And so if you can get that as part of your onboarding and you do some training with your current employees to try and get everybody to that level, from there you'll find some what I'm going to call champions, but people that really adopt
Yeah.
it better and stuff. And those are the ones that you bring on and you start talking to more about, okay, what are things that we could look at from a department level, organizational level? And that's where you start getting more into your agentic flows and stuff like that. And even there, they may not be the ones, developing that. You may have one or two people in house that are, or external, that are really good with APIs and really good with some of that type of stuff and understand how to, connect different systems together and so on. But I do think those employees that are working, more the day to day are the ones that are going to give you the better context on how you should set up those things.
Yeah, yeah, I like that, and I think that's we got to move people from AI curious to AI literate, and then use the champions to spearhead into each department and find those dead SOPs that or that people are still doing mind numbing work and get those converted already. And it doesn't have to be like you're saying, it doesn't have to be AI. It could just be automation. So that's fine. But let's innovate already.
Yeah. That's funny is there are quite a few clients I meet with or potential clients I meet with, and they have these, what they think is a grandiose idea. And I go, well, I
Yeah.
could have done that 10 years ago with something like
With Zap.
UiPath, just
Yeah.
yep, RP, standard robotic process automation type stuff.
Yeah.
And they think it's like, oh, that's AI. It's like, you know what? If you think that's AI, that's great. In
Right.
a way it is AI. Machine learning's AI. LLMs are AI, like it's fine. I don't
Yeah.
have a problem with you calling that AI, but why did we have to wait till now to have this conversation? You could have been getting benefit out of this 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's
No.
funny. Talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing from your deployments in terms of what the leverage or the ROI in dollars or human time is. What are some of the best cases?
Yeah. I I say start small. And what I mean by that is one of our most successful clients with this, she's a manufacturing firm. Um, she has some really legacy manufacturing software that doesn't integrate well. And what was happening is she had her floor manager or the business owner or like her floor supervisor, or top 3 paid employees. Basically, at the end of the day, when the manufacturing floor shut down, they would go into these systems, pull out a bunch of data, and get that data into UPS World Ship to ship it out, and into their financial accounting package to get it out for billing, right? And this was kind
Yep.
of a manual process. They were downloading different Excel spreadsheets and stuff like that, manipulating the data and putting it into these systems, which from a manufacturing firm, if you spent your entire day manufacturing a bunch of stuff and at the end of the day you couldn't ship it and you couldn't bill for it, what's kind of the point of operating your business that day, right?
Right.
So yeah, exactly. So we worked with her, and we basically, this was like less than a $5,000 project, and we got her together, did some RPA type work that now it just runs automatically at midnight. No one ever thinks about it again, right?
Absolutely.
And then
Yep.
from there, like, so she saved 30 to 45 labor hours a month or so on average.
Massive.
That's like a
At
2-month
executive
ROI.
level.
And
That was
so,
yeah.
right, executive level. That's like a 2-month ROI. So then later on, she's like, well, okay, I get all these orders through email. Is there a way we could automate different orders and cross-check some things and get that
Yeah.
into our ordering system? Well, yes, there is, right? And so we do another project with her, and we do another project with her. And so a lot of companies try and bite off these really large projects, right? And with her, it's kind of like a flywheel. First project was like $5,000, basically had almost an instant ROI within like a 2-month ROI. Later on, we're spending maybe 10, 15 grand to do another kind of small project, and it just keeps building and building and building. So she's getting ROI while she's investing and while she's going forward. And now you get a year or two down the road, and you just keep doing that every few months. Now she's highly automated and has a lot of AI stuff going on, right? So I think that's a good way to go about it. And the different projects that you're going to look at, yes, a lot of it is around labor hours. Some of it is just about stability and satisfaction. Like if you have a process that is really kind of causing problems with labor hours or causing problems because it's not getting done correctly all the time, those are usually some processes to look at first. And so I usually like to start with clients and find their 10, 15 key processes that are really going on. And we may not replace a whole process. It may be like a
Right.
15, 20 step process. But if we replace 3 or 4 of those steps, right? And then just keep investing in it, keep investing in it, keep investing in it. And I think that's the best way to really revolutionize a business. The larger firms, like I've been to, obviously big conferences and stuff like that. And you hear, the head of AI from Coca-Cola on stage in Atlanta at a Microsoft conference we were at, talk about what they're doing. And yeah, they're making a $2 million investment, right? The truth is, to Coca-Cola, if they lose that $2 million investment, it's like a rounding error for them.
Right.
Most of the middle market, if you've lost $2 million on your investment, it could put you out of business or severely hurt your company, right? Most companies that are in that second stage area, middle market area that we work with, the $5 million to say $100 million a year company, you don't want to lose that $2 million, right? And so don't put that much at risk. Let's start small. Let's pick 1 or 2 departments. Let's pick 1 or 2 tasks. Let's pick some processes like that. Let's figure out where we can go with it. And that's where if you start with AI literacy and training people and you find your champions, talking to them and figuring out, okay, this process is really broken, or there's something here we can really do. I mean, the ROI sometimes is almost instantaneous.
Yeah. And then, you're able to take that savings and invest it into the next project and the next project.
Yeah.
Just keeps turning over.
Right. Starts a whole flywheel that just keeps going and going and going and going.
I love it. Well, John, you and I could have this conversation for the rest of the day and into tomorrow, I think, but probably have some other stuff we should do. If people want to get in touch with you and have a conversation about the maturity curve or anything AI, how do they do that?
Yeah, I believe you have everything for my show notes for LinkedIn. I am actively on LinkedIn a lot, and we can also give you my email. I highly recommend following our company, LinkedIn. We do publish 2 or 3 times a week, just different things going on. And, one thing exciting we're getting into now is robotics. So if you want to see some things around that,
cool.
I guess I'll put this little tidbit there real quick, is that I really see the future of AI and automation and robotics merging more and more as you start going down the road. 2 to 3 years from now, it'll be almost one. Like our robot is running a localized LLM for what we need for him to do and for like how we want him to communicate and the systems that we want him to tie into. And I think like it's awesome that you have automations and some things like that. But at the end of the day, if like the system thinks you have 73 items on a shelf and it turns out you don't have 73 items on a shelf, the only really way automatically to do that besides sending a human is robotics.
Right.
So I think they're going to start merging a lot. But
I love it.
Sorry, I wanted to throw that in there real quick because I think that's the future.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I am excited about it. I'm also a little concerned about it with those robotic dogs, especially if the police have them.
Yeah.
But that's just my own little sci-fi horror story. Well, John, thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me, and I hope that I could have you on the show again, and we could have this conversation again in a few months.
Yeah, love to.
All right.
Love to. Thank you for having me.
I really enjoyed it. And I hope you have a great day.
You too.
Well, lots to unpack there. I think the best thing is to go back to use cases and where are your time sinks and find some easily identifiable workflows that can be automated at least and agentified if the use case demands it. But continuing to look for projects that can get quick ROI and then build into more complicated projects after that. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with John. I know I sure did. And I hope you reach out to him and talk to him about robots. Also hope that you take some time today and this week to continue to educate yourself on how Claude or Claude Code can help you save time in your workday. And that with that time, you continue to upskill, that you spend that time with your friends and family, and that you get outside into nature away from the screens. This is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.